Seven, six, five, four, three, two, one.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Mixer Review. We've got Richard back in the house. Welcome, Richard. And of course, what we do in this show here is we look at a body of work from a mixer on all the flavors or wherever we find it, and we mix up the recipes and talk about it. So in this show, we're going to talk about Marnu. He's a South African mixer. I haven't really seen, I actually saw Marnu on all the flavors, right? And then in a WhatsApp group that I'm in, I saw another Marnu there. And then I realized, hey, this is the same guy. And then, I saw him on the forum as well. But literally in the last month, that's the only time I've seen him anywhere.
Exact same order.
I had no clue that this guy was a local guy until Richard kind of brought it to our attention to say, hey, this is a local South African mixer. He's got a couple of recipes up. Richard, when did you first see Marnu's stuff?
I was on the browse for my type of recipe. Now, my type of recipe is 5 to 8% light bakeries, like whipped cream bakeries. So there's certain concentrates that I always put into all the flavors just to see what people are doing with them. And this name came up, and I saw it. It was his profiteroles recipe, which is my kind of recipe. So I had a look at his stuff, and I was just browsing through his recipes, and then I saw that he had a recipe where he used a brandy flavor, and he made a note that the flavor that he added in the recipe was not the one that was named, that people must use brandy instead. And from that, I knew that he was South African, because brandy is BLCK's house brand.
Yeah.
It's not an international flavor. So I knew he was a local guy. And just looking at his recipes, he seems to know his way around a kitchen. He knows his way around foodstuffs and around the culinary arts. So being a South African, doing my type of recipes, being a guy who seems to know food very well, I was immediately intrigued and started reading up more about his recipes, and that's when I suggested him as a mixer that we could profile.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess, we can kind of just jump right in it. So this is the Marnu show, right? I decided to mix up his cereal base. I think it's very cool when a mixer puts out a cereal base, or not a cereal base, a base. And that can be of anything. It really makes it simple for people who want to develop recipes but have literally no clue how to, blend flavors together. They just want to add a fruit to something and an experiment, right? And this is, in my mind, what you should be doing if you're interested in recipe development, but you just don't know all the creams and things out there, and you don't know that much to blend something well together, and you're a little bit cautious on what you mix up, is to put out a base. Of course, when you're putting out a base, you're expecting somebody has put in a little bit of effort, because, they must have put together something that can easily pair up with something else. Also, a lot of work must have been put in it, because you don't want to put out a base recipe, that doesn't really blend well with anything else. It kind of makes it null and void. But anyway, his cereal stone is 1.5% Flavor West Bavarian cream, 1.2 Cap Cereal 27, 1.25 EM, 1% hazelnut, that's Flavor West, 0.75 FA meringue, and 0.25 super sweet. So he's got a little bit of a lot of sweetener in here, you know. Let's quickly just run through some of his notes here. So I've split it up. He's got 3 sections that he goes through, and I'm just going to immediately comment on each of those paragraphs that he's put in. So meringue and Bavarian cream. So this is FA meringue and Flavor West Bavarian cream. This is my milky base. The meringue adds fullness and fluffiness, as well as a little bit of sweetness to me, a strong toasted note. The Bavarian cream is richer than just the milk, like cream fresh or milky undertone, but I want decadence in this. I used Flavor West Bavarian cream because I get a pepper note from the TFA version. I absolutely agree with this combo here. I mean, it's a trialed and tested combo. I've seen it in many places, so it really works well. I don't get the pepper note from the TFA Bavarian cream, so I think this could be a potential sub if you're looking at mixing up this recipe. So I think TFA can work as a sub here. But yes, 100%, this is a full, rich cream, but it's like smooth as heaven. You know what I mean? He gets the richness in it with Bavarian cream and that decadence. And, you know, meringue just fluffs it out. So you're getting, you know, a very two-dimensional cream here. And, of course, very full and deep, right? So, yeah, props to him on this combo. You know, he sells it very well, what he's trying to create over here with this combo. Then he did Cereal 27 and Hazelnut. So here's also a very interesting one. These are staples for cereal base. Cereal 27 is the tastiest cereal in my opinion. Now, I bought, you know, a while ago, I bought Cereal 27 because it was the hype. Everybody was getting it and going on about it. It was kind of after the whole cereal craze, which is quite bizarre. But I thought, you know, I like cereal so much, and let me play around with this. So I don't see Cereal 27 being my favorite, but there's not many options, and this is one of the best ones out there. Okay, it's got AP in it as well. You know, that's the sweetness in it. And there's not many off notes. It's a generic cereal, but definitely a darker and toasted grain. The hazelnut brings a rich nuttiness that backs the cereal up beautifully. It also bridges the gap between the cereal and the creams with its smoothness. Okay. So, as I said, not a huge fan of Cereal 27, but he used it very well here in conjunction with hazelnut, right? So, Flavor West hazelnut. The thing is that nuttiness that he added, you know, to that corn cereal almost gives you the illusion that there's like a pending crunch, you know, because you're tasting that nuttiness, you think, okay, you know, you're going to bite into a nut now or something. And because of that, it gives the cereal base, in my opinion, a slight crunch, you know, because it fools you, you know, which is very cool. I haven't even thought about, you know, something like that. So yeah, that's a very clever way of fooling the person mixing this up into believing that there's going to be like a cornflakes crunch to this recipe. Okay. The EM and super sweet. This is the only part I didn't quite fully agree with him. But cereals are pretty sugary in general. That's what he says. So sugar on top sensation that comes from super sweet is useful in this recipe. So I just get a very sweet cream, you know, the super sweet and the EM is blended with that cream. So it's almost like, you know, that I'm getting two things. I'm getting like a very sugary milk. So it's almost like somebody took the sugar that was on top of the cereal and mixed it into their milk, right? So you get that creamy sweetness. And then I'm getting that Cereal 27 cornflakes kind of note, plus that nuttiness that makes you think, hey, there's a pending crunch coming. So in my opinion, this is a banging base because what he says the recipe is what I'm getting. And, what he's used in here as well will pair very well with a little bit of strawberry or a little bit of banana, anything that you would generally, cut into your cornflakes. Even a little bit of marshmallow or whatever you want to put in there, you can throw it at this base, and I'm sure it will blend very well. So yeah, I ended up rating this a 4 out of 5 because it was so true to its description. Okay, and then the other recipe that I mixed up, which is not his recipe, but Marnu created a variation of the recipe. So he gives props. This recipe is called Twister Lolly, right? So anybody that doesn't know what a Twister Lolly is, it's like a icicle. And, we've got them here in South Africa. I think they call them, what is it? Something pop, Twister Pop or something like that. But you've got one flavor or two flavors twisting, through the top, and then a flavor in the middle. And, it makes for a very nice treat in the summer kind of thing. When you say Twister Lolly, I am down for testing that. So I was gonna mix this up. He got my attention immediately. So what he used here is 3% Flavor West Bavarian cream, right? So he loves his Bavarian cream from Flavor West. Then he used 3% golden pineapple, 0.5% Coulada. I didn't do that. I just went with 1% WS23. So I think that's a fair sub. 2% lemon lime 2. I had that by chance. 2% Inawera strawberry, 0.2% super sweet, and 2% Flavor West vanilla bean ice cream. Okay. Marnu doesn't give notes on this recipe because it's not his. All right, but I can't read the original recipe's notes because Marnu has changed some of the ingredients in the recipe. So, but what I'll do is I'll give you notes on, what I found with this recipe. So the Bavarian cream and the Vbic is muting some of the fruits in this recipe, okay? But I do like the fruit combination. So I do like the lemon lime, the golden pineapple, and the strawberry combination that was used here. I think that's a good combination. However, the creams are muting the flavors a little bit. To remain in the ice lolly realm and not go over into the realm where you've got a fruit salad with a dollop of, ice cream kind of mixed together, it's going to be very difficult, if you use an ice cream base. So in this recipe, an ice cream base is used, and there's, it kind of blends with the fruits, but it makes the fruits a little bit creamy. Okay. So I think to texture, you could potentially use another texturizer in this mix. My guesses would go with things like jelly candy or 27 Bears, just to really, help boost that combo, that fruit combo you have there. And you can also add a little bit more sweetener because those ice lollies are loaded with sweetener in there, just to really sell this profile. And maybe use like a thinner cream. I think that the cream does help the body a little bit in here, but Bavarian cream and vanilla bean ice cream Flavor West is maybe just a little bit rich. So go for a thinner cream and texturize with some candies like jelly candy or whatever the case is. And then, pump the coolness to about 1.5% WS23. I know that might sound crazy cool, but on a 20% dilution, and for people that are into their icy vapes, that's going to be like an ice lolly to them. Okay, so my final thoughts on this was I rated it about a 3 out of 5, just because I thought you could use better texturizers here. But, definitely not a bad recipe, just that the creams was muting the fruits a little bit. But yeah, that's pretty much it on my side. Did any one of you guys mix up one of these recipes?
I actually wasn't going to talk about it, but I did the twister lolly. I just didn't mix it as it is here. You see, I left out the vanilla bean ice cream immediately, and the Bavarian cream I only did at 1.5. Also, I didn't use colada because there's, for me, that flavor that it leaves. So I used 0.5 WS23, and with those amendments, to me, it was a pretty good juice. I can't really rate it because I didn't do it with that intention, seeing as I removed some of it and altered it to my own taste. But the way that I changed it was pretty good. If I would have reviewed it for rating, I would have agreed pretty much with what you said, Theo. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Deetz, what did you mix up though?
Okay, I mixed the breezy fruits. Let me get to the percentages. So with the breezy fruits, this is the one where he mentions the brandy flavor. He says he listed the TPA blue raspberry, and that's actually brandy flavors. So this is the one. The percentages are 2% blue raspberry, 0.5 Inuera cactus, 1.2% FA lemon Sicily, 3% FA passion fruit, and 1.5% strawberry rye, TPA strawberry rye. So with this one, it is definitely in my type of juice where I like to play. I like the fruits. I like these specific this combination of flavors together. The description that he has is exactly for me what it is. The flavors are very well mixed. I am very happy with the usage of the percentages of these concentrates. It's not very high, like 19-20%. All these concentrates are at low percentages, and the juice is still very flavorful without overwhelming you. I would rate it a 4.5. But I have remixed it, adding the 1%, where it recommends you increase the 1% on the passion fruit and the raspberry. So I did that. I increased the 1% because I like a bit more flavor with juice, and I also added 0.2 sweetener, 0.2% sweetener, and a drop, literally 1 drop of creme fraiche. The reason I added the creme fraiche was because I do not want to wait for the steep. So he says if you want to steep it longer than 5 days or 7 days, then only increase the 1%. So I figured I'm going to increase it anyway, but I don't want harsh. So I just added 1 drop of creme fraiche. This is a really, really great juice. I love this. It's the fruits. It must be the passion fruit for me.
So that's a total banger then. I mean, 4.5,
For me.
yeah?
Definitely. I would actually say 5, seeing as I've never had a recipe that's exactly as close to what this is my taste, specifically the passion fruit, the whole profile going on. All the flavors together makes a very good juice for me. I like this. It's a very fruity.
What is, I mean, I see blue raspberry, actually passion fruit is the highest there, right? So
Yes.
Would you say that's the hero of this fruit blend? So you get passion fruit just with like a lot of fruits around it, or what is it?
Yes, it's a passion fruit, definitely a passion fruit. But the lemon brings in a little bit more, almost like boosts the sourness of the passion fruit. And the raspberry gives it a sweet kind of vibe without having obviously too much sweetener. I added the 0.2 sweetener because I like adding sweetener on it. But it's definitely passion fruit. The strawberry, I wouldn't say the strawberry is a fruity strawberry. It's because it's strawberry ripe. It's more like I would say that intense, or not intense, but the ripe candy type of flavor. You don't really get it, as he says, as a strawberry profile. It just adds to or as a strawberry flavor, it just adds to the profile of the body of the juice. I would definitely add, I've never mixed strawberry with passion fruit, and I think, or maybe I have, I'm not sure, but not very recently, not that I can remember. So that together with the lemon, I love lemon and a lot of lemon. Different cactus in there, I want to rate it extra for that, because I put cactus in all my fruit juices. Between 0.25% and 0.5%, the fact that it's there gives me this is a good recipe, because this is how I mix.
Yeah,
so I
absolutely.
really like this. The flavors are great. And initially when I saw the picture and the description without seeing the percentages first, I would have expected higher percentages looking at the description of what he said he's achieving. But with the use of these percentages, it's exactly that. It's a great juice. I enjoyed it. For me, my personal juice is fruit, and this is great.
Yeah, he reckons this is the guy he vapes for like a break from the bakeries, right? So just to get a blast of fruits, fresh fruits, and then it looks like he's more of a cream and bakery guy. I'm not sure, but from what I'm reading.
Yeah, it looks like it, but he does pretty well with the fruits if he's mainly bakery focused. This is a good breakaway for me if I was to vape a lot of bakery. I would actually put this in my permanent rotation because of how vibrant it is for me. Mm-hmm. Just keeping in mind that I increased the 1% on the raspberry and passion fruit, but that's how I would prefer it. So it's a really good recipe for me. Perfectly in line with what I generally mix and what I like.
Nice.
I think, as you guys noticed by now, I only mix fruit or fruit with things vibrant, not really the dessert things. Desserts only recently started mixing in a few creams and so on. So
yeah, same
and mother of dragon's milk. That's the only thing that's been consistent dessert-wise.
Yeah, this show is making me mix up all kinds of stuff. You know what I mean? And
definitely, yeah.
But yeah, if I see a good fruit recipe, I was looking at this recipe actually, and I had the first rule on the passion fruit and the blue raspberry. So I was like, yeah, I can't mix this up. I'm not going to order it.
Thanks to the 3-to-1 ocean water recipe, that recipe inspired me to do a few other recipes, and there was passion fruit in that. So I had the passion fruit, but a friend helped me out on the raspberry.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
Cool. Rich, what did you mix?
Right. There's a bit of a story behind mine. As the biggest fanboy ever of Simply Cannoli, and having had it ruined by Inawera's reformulation of biscuit, I've been kind of on a permanent hunt to find a replacement for that juice. And when I saw Marnu's profiterole cream puff, it kind of struck me as being quite close to what I'm looking at. Just to break down the recipe, it's 1.5% FW yellow cake, 1% FW cake battered dip, 0.5% of FA custard premium, 1.5% of Hangson French vanilla ice cream, 0.3% of Flavor West hazelnut, 0.4% FA joy, and 1% cap vanilla whipped cream. Now, profiterole is, in any case, quite close to a cannoli. It's a very delicate cream-filled pastry. So I figured I was in the zone here and mixed this up immediately. And it wasn't just the flavor profile, it was the mix of flavors in there. I mean, these are all good flavors, but it's not every day that you see cake batter dip with custard premium, with French vanilla ice cream, with cap vanilla whipped. That's a very intriguing mixture for the whipped cream sort of filling inside the pastry. And it works very, very well, I must say. What I'm getting from it, though, from the final juice, is not what I would call a profiterole. The FW yellow cake adds just a bit too much of that spongy cake texture. It's not a, it's not a hard, brittle pastry shell. It's more like a cake, an iced cake with a filling, almost like a Twinkie type of vibe that it provides at the end. But it's also very intriguing from a textural point of view. I think this arises from the mixture of the Flavor West cake batter dip and the FA Joy. What I get from cake batter dip is a sort of semi-cooked dough or batter type of feel, an icing almost. And then with the Joy, you get that semi-fried kind of feel. So what you get overall is a pastry that is browned on the outside, but almost half-baked and doughy on the inside. And then you've got the FW yellow cake adding this sort of spongy, crumbly texture of a cake. So it doesn't quite nail the profiterole profile for me, but that, for me, accuracy of profile is not very important. I'm after the taste and I'm after the texture, and this certainly gives you an intriguing mix of textures in there. It's quite dry, it's slightly gritty, and there's almost a darkish note in there. I think that might be coming from the combination of the Joy and the hazelnut together. But that said, I find it a very addicting vape. It's a very subtle mix, only 6.2% total flavoring. It uses flavors that I like. I enjoy every flavor that's in this mix. And it's certainly something different. It's not, your typical light, iced sponge type of feel to it. So I'm a bit torn on it. It's not profiterole. It's not an update to Simply Cannoli. But I think this will still make its way into my rotation. It's an intriguing mix. It's a tasty mix. As I say, that interesting blend of a brown, bakery that's brown on the outside, but it's only half cooked on the inside. So sort of curate's egg type of juice. Very good parts that maybe could still be worked on a bit to get that complete profiterole profile. But I think this is a good juice. I am having no problem finishing off this bottle. And again, that FA custard, the French vanilla ice cream, the vanilla whipped cream, and the cake batter dip gives you that. It's a lovely, almost like an icing type of filling, which complements the bakery element very, very well. So this is certainly, if you're into this type of profile, I can recommend to mix this up. You might find, like I did, that there are bits that you would want to change, but as a starting point, and as a mix that uses popular flavors, but in a combination that you won't see very often, this is certainly very, very intriguing. So that was the first one.
So Richard, just to get a sense of, if you had to rate this out of 5, I mean, you said it could be in your permanent rotation because it's really in your wheelhouse of things you mix up. Where would you put this? I mean, you are a bakery nut, right? So this is this is your thing.
I'd give this a 4. I wouldn't mark it down because there's anything off about it. I don't think there is anything off about it. It's a cream-filled pastry that is unlike other cream-filled pastries that you would have tried. And for that, I think for my palate, it could be changed to move it closer there. There's something about that balance between the cake batter dip and the Joy that just isn't quite working for me. I think I'd maybe drop the Joy slightly and increase the cake batter dip a little bit, and then even bring in something like a pop pastry or a pie crust, just to complement the FW yellow cake and to try to sell that idea of a
harder shell
pastry crust, rather than a yellow cake shell. That's where it doesn't fall down for me. FW yellow cake is one of my favorite flavors. Anything with it in, I'm very happy to vape. But just if you want to bring it closer to profiterole, it needs to be less cakey. it comes across more like a Twinkie, I would say, you know, cream-filled cake rather than being a profiterole as such. But it's a really good juice. So I'd mark it down to a 4, not because the flavor doesn't hit the spot, but because it just, you know, I would change it slightly to
That's
fit
still
my
pretty
palate.
high. I mean, you know,
It's a delicious juice.
that's
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
It's brilliant, right?
And
Yeah.
it's an easygoing juice. You know, one of the things I liked about Simply Cannoli so much is it's so easygoing. You know, you can just vape it all day long. You don't get tired of it. It doesn't assault your taste buds with over flavoring. So this fits very much in the same bracket, and I would recommend it for that alone. And talking of that, the second one of his that I mixed was Land of Cream and Honey. Now, anything with cream and honey in the title, I'm a sucker for. I started off with Chiba's milk and honey.
Yeah, I saw that recipe. I mean, there's a milk and honey thing going on, right? I mean, I saw a couple of milk and honey recipes.
Yeah, a lot of people do it. And the thing is, for me, I've never had vapor's tongue, and I think part of the reason that I never have it is because I change flavors every 15 minutes or so. And also, I tend to favor recipes that are a little bit lower in total flavoring. I don't go for these Malaysian style, you know, smash you in the forehead with a fruit which has got tons of sweetener and coolant added. I think those things take you on a one-way trip to vapor's tongue every time. You know, I tend to go with the lower percentages, juices where you have to maybe search a little bit for the flavor, search a bit for the complexity, and really think about what you're vaping while you're vaping it. You know, it's the more subtle juices. And this fits right in that space. Let me just outline the recipe for you. It's 1.25% Flavora cream, 1% FA custard premium again, 0.25% FA honey, which I use 2.5% because I only use FA honey as a 10% dilution. I can't work with 0.25. So it was 2.5% for me. 0.5% Flavora milk and honey, which you can add to any. There's no juice on earth that's not going to be improved by 0.5% of Flavora milk and honey. 1/2 to 1 drop of Flavora Rich cinnamon. I'm not sure how you get 1/2 a drop of Flavora Rich cinnamon into a 30, so I added a drop. And 2% of our old favorite TFA vanilla swirl. So the total percentage is only 5%. I mean, it was up around 7 for me with the dilution of FA honey, but even still, that is a very modestly flavored juice. Now, milk and honey or cream and honey has another application. You know, if you've got a raw throat from flu or whatever, it's an absolute banging vape to just keep yourself vaping without, again, assaulting the throat with, you know, astringent fruits or whatever. It goes down very smooth, very full, very creamy type of flavor. And that was my first take on this when I started vaping it, is that it's very gentle on the palate. It's an excellent cream base. It's very close to Chiba's cream base. He also uses the Flavora cream and the Flavora milk and honey in his milk and honey recipe, and it's an excellent base. It's not overpowering. It's not too dense. It's just got that nice, smooth, creamy, but again moderately flavored milk or cream to back up the honey. The honey is also, it's layered in just right. It's not a dominant flavor. It's a cream with a touch of honey, not, you know, a spoonful of honey with a dab of cream on top. So this works absolutely perfectly for me. I'm not the biggest fan of honey. I like honey to be an accent rather than, you know, a distinct top note. And this just blends so beautifully into this lovely, creamy, smooth, gentle, subtle, but not underflavored mix with just a touch of honey and a touch of cinnamon. And that's really all that I want. As I say, I swap flavors every 15 minutes. I could vape this for hours on end, but I don't. It's something, if I'm having a more assertive juice, I'll vape it for a while, and then I'll switch across to this just to reset my palate, give my throat a break, give my taste buds a break. And it's got that very classy, underplayed, smooth, creamy, gentle feel about it. If you're the type of person that only, vapes one juice all day long, this might not do it. It's maybe not vibrant and distinctive enough to be vaping on all day. But as a palate cleanser and as a break from other flavors, this absolutely hits the spot for me. It's quite close to Chibas, and with either this one or Chibas, I'll happily vape it at intervals throughout the day, and even longer if I'm recovering from flu or
that kind of thing.
I have a sore throat or a raw throat from anything else. This is the type of juice that I will turn to.
Nice. So, I think, positive feedback, which is really surprising. I don't think I've just been thinking, we've had 3 4s, right, all around, and I certainly wasn't expecting that because, I haven't heard of Marnu till like a month ago, and now all of a sudden I found a banging cereal base. Deetz found some fruits.
Look at the way he uses. I mean, look at what he does. Look at the percentages. Look at how much he uses. For someone who you don't hear about, and then suddenly you hear about doing recipes like this, it's awesome. It's really great recipes. I would recommend this fruit recipe definitely.
That profiteroles, he created a profiterole with 6.2% total flavoring. I mean, we're talking about, what is that, a 7 flavor recipe? It's on the more complex side, but subtle little additions added in there.
Half a drop.
Yeah. Richard, how you do that is, I've figured it out. Like, because I mix 15%, you kind of like let a drop come out, and just before it like drops, you just sort of like, I don't know.
Cut it to that.
you just push it in like a half drop.
I'm happy with how he uses his concentrate. Sorry, Richard. This is good use. I'm excited to get a lot of the other things mixed up. I'm interested in this honey because Richard said so. That's why. I would like to mix it up. I'm very intrigued now. I'm not a very big fan of using honey, so I would like to try this one to see. But I mean, if this is how he mixes, and I mean, even looking at the Twister lolly, the amendments he made, the way he makes amendments, it's interesting. I'd like to see what else he brings out.
No, he knows how to pair things. You know what I mean? So,
Definitely.
Like I said, I like the fruits in the Twister lolly. I like his his combination of fruits there. I just disagreed with the creaminess opposed to a candiness, and I mean that can be personal taste. Yeah, Richard, you were saying?
Well, the biggest advantage that you can have as a mixer is to know your way around a kitchen. If you are a culinary fan and you already have that background of mixing flavors and textures together, it just helps so much in mixing. And you can tell from his notes that he knows different foodstuffs. He is probably an accomplished cook or chef, apart from vaping. And you can see this with others as well. I mean, you read Concrete River's notes, almost regardless of what type of food stuff is being talked about, Concrete has a very solid grasp of the appeal and the benefits of that flavor. And that comes from being interested in cooking and in the culinary arts. And I sense that with Marnu as well, that mixing comes naturally to him because of his enthusiasm for cooking. So I would happily mix up most of his stuff. And he's right in my zone. The low percentages, the layering of the recipes that he does, the way that he gets flavors to complement and play off each other. So I was very happy when I found him. And as I said, it was that search for Simply Cannoli, or for a substitute for Simply Cannoli, along with his notes about using a Frandy flavor to replace another flavor. So I knew immediately he was a South African mixer, and I have to say I'm impressed with the work that he's done. The two that I mixed up were both really good.
Yeah, what really bugs me about this whole thing is that I don't even know about him. You know what I mean? And people should know about this. It just goes to show
that's why. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's why you didn't get a 5. It's because you've been hiding from us.
Yeah, 100%, dude. Come on. But anyway, that kind of wraps up the Mix's review on Marnu, on his body of work. Guys, have you got anything more that you want to add?
Well done.
Just that I'll be mixing more of his stuff.
Same here.
Yeah, I'm just looking at what his most popular recipes are over here. So peanut butter custard, then strawberry mist cake, then butternut. But I think the rest of his recipes, he's got only one review, right? And the rest of his recipes has no reviews. I mean, this cereal stone has no reviews. Breezy Fruits has no reviews. That profiterole has no reviews on it, which makes it extremely difficult to find these recipes, right? So yeah, keep on mixing, Marnu. Thank you very much. Put out some more recipes so we can mix them up. And yeah, guys, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below so we can get back to you. And yeah, thank you very much for watching, guys.
Cheers.
Yes.